finish my current audiobook because I've got like 30
Ooh.
minutes left on it, so I'm gonna finish that tonight.
Nice.
Let me double check.
That will be
the
the 4th Lauren Blakely book I've read this week because apparently I tried. I've just been deep diving, so yay live!
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Charles from the channel Books on Stereo, and we're here to do a live show to celebrate the Audiobooks for the Win series. So make sure, please, if you haven't watched all the episodes, you can still stay. Like, it's not going to be any spoil. Like, you won't be spoiled. Like, I think, like, just watch them after the live, and then you can enjoy this live too as well right now. But for right now, I'll let all my co-hosts introduce themselves, tell us your channel, what type of genres you read, and then also one of your favorite audiobooks.
So start with me?
Yes. So Shae, you're
Hi.
first.
I'm Shae from Shae Geeks Out. I primarily read romance. I do read some fantasy. I also read a ton of manga, as you can see behind me. And if I had to choose a favorite audiobook, oh god, that's so hard. I'm going to recommend a series, I guess. So I would recommend the Spellmonger series by Terry Ancourt. It started out as an indie pub romance, but now it's a small pub romance, or not romance, sorry, fantasy, high fantasy, epic fantasy, not romance at all. But it does include sex magic, so it's very interesting. It was one of my husband's favorite series, and he's the one who recommended it to me. It's narrated by John Lee. He does a fantastic job with it. And I've read the first 3 books now, and it's solid. Like, it's a 5-star by book 3. So
I want to hear more about the sex magic. That
we're talking about that off stream. That's
This is
a
like
different
a wrong
topic.
crowd to mention something like that and not explain it. Me and Nicole were like,
Well, like,
I was like, she just
they
kinda,
have
like,
all
glanced
sorts of
over it,
different
too.
kinds of magic in this world, and there's one character in particular that specializes in sex magic, and it is used very prevalently to basically open a portal for thousands of people to get through to get away from these like bad Gurvani is what they're called. They're like little goblins. There's like a dead god associated with them. So yeah, literally the main character and his college girlfriend are like going at it for hours to keep this portal open.
Wow. Okay. See, I was like thinking, like, what kind of portal is this, Shae?
yeah.
They
Where
use
is
the
this
sex
portal,
magic
Shae?
to power the portal.
Okay.
Like literally all they have is like this little screen to block them from all the people walking by. And his current girlfriend comes around and gives him a kiss while he's having sex with the ex-girlfriend. It's a whole thing.
Wow.
And later in the series, like there are orgies and other things going on. So like I'm invested.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
I did not expect a live stream to devolve so quickly.
I know.
Immediately.
Barely.
What was
sorry.
You went a little bit too hard
Give it
on
to
that.
me.
You went too hard on that question.
Hey, when my husband recommends it, come on.
Wait, what was the title again? I have to write this down, obviously.
It's the Spellmonger series. I'll put it in the chat. That'll be easier.
So Nicole, you are up.
I don't know how I'm going to follow that, but hi, Nicole from Who Picked This Book. I do read mostly romance, but I, enjoy a whole wide range of other genres as well. Instead of a favorite audiobook, I'm just going to do a favorite narrator, Fiona Hardingham. She is fantastic. She mostly narrates like YA fantasy. I'm listening to We Hunt the Flame right now, and she's one of the narrators in there, and she's just fantastic. I love her to death.
Yeah, she's awesome. Hi, I'm Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany. I read everything. I read a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, and romance. I've been on a big nonfiction kick lately too. I don't know, but I read a little bit of everything. I can't tell you a favorite audiobook, but a series that comes to mind that I do think the audio is done well on is the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. So All Systems Red is the first one. These are also available on Scribd, which is nice. And the new one is about to come out, which I'm very excited for. So if you're intimidated by sci-fi, these are a nice entry point because they're super character driven and like with a snarky AI kind of character, they're a lot of fun.
So I am Bree. My channel's in 11 Words, and I read romance mostly. I mean, primarily a little bit of YA fantasy, YA contemporary, and stuff here and there. My favorite audiobook is Call Me Maybe by Cara Bastone. And only
Love that
because
one.
like romance novels get the short end of the stick when it comes to like really atmospheric audiobooks. It's very rare that you get one that has like sound effects and like full cast and everything like that. And this one has like the sound effects and everything. It's so immersive. The only downside to that audiobook was I wish it was longer. But oh my gosh, I loved it so much. I wish every romance audiobook had that. I mean, just having like the background noises of cars going by, the texting noises, like the dings and stuff when a text comes up. Oh my gosh, it's so freaking good.
You know,
Also,
and
it's on Audible Plus.
that one in particular is great because it takes place in New York City, and New York is a quiet city if you've ever been there. And so you just get all that background noise. It just feels right.
Right. You feel so immersed
So
in the
good.
story. It's really good.
I literally just read that over the weekend. It is so good. And yes, I wanted it
Really?
longer.
I
wanted it
know.
longer.
I
I'm
wanted
like,
so
I
much
I feel that
more.
way about all of Carrie Basto's books, if I'm honest, because she has another series that's
Oh, I need to read those.
so good.
Well, it was my first one by that author, but it's not going to be my
Same.
last.
But she only
gonna
has
be-
this other series, as far as I know. Like she's a newer author.
Yeah.
So
She needs to get on it.
Yours series.
So she needs to write more.
She needs to get
Yeah,
on it.
The first one is just a heartbeat away is the first book in the series.
I have the last one.
Book 2 was my favorite in that series. Deals a lot more with like auras and energies, and they actually pull that into the sex scene, and it was really beautifully done. Like it was unique. Anyway, sorry, I'll shut up.
Oh.
You're good. I feel like at this point, like people expect us all to pause and gush about a book periodically. Like they've
Yeah.
been here, they know
It's par
us.
for the course.
I'm Jacqueline, and I'm on the same page. It will surprise no one that I also can't pick a single book, so I am going to rave about Immortals After Dark by Nicole. The narration is just so good. I'm not going to go on. I know I've talked about Robert Petkoff probably every episode of this, if not the majority. But
I think you have actually.
he's just so. I just finished. I'm doing a audio reread right now because I have some friends who are reading it, and I just finished Sweet Ruin, which is book 15, and it's the one where the hero is poisonous to everyone but the heroine. It's amazing.
I had a feeling you were gonna say Immortals After Dark because, like, I think in almost every episode you mention, it's
Okay.
somehow Immortals After Dark.
But
In
see,
some
Charles,
way, you're like,
you're reading it
genius.
now, and you know that it's just.
I am.
I haven't read them.
Wait, what book are you on?
I've only read the first book. Like the second book is on my TBR this month, though. I hope to get to it soon.
Same.
The
I've
second
only
one
read
I
the
like
first
But
one.
it's
better
the
than
book
the
after
first
Kiss of the Demon. I have to read the
Oh,
one
it's
after
the ice one.
the ice
Danielle
one.
Ice Maiden.
Oh no, it's the Warlord Wants Forever because we were doing the Fated
Oh.
Mates. So we're reading the novella.
Well, it's the two Roth brother novellas, and they're
Yeah.
next to each other.
So I haven't started those yet. So no spoilers. For me, I would say one of my favorite audiobooks right now is Love Bug by Erin Mallon. I don't know if you guys have like listened to it. It's
That's the full cast
it's
one,
low.
right?
Oh no,
Did
it's
you
just
try it?
her.
Oh, it is.
It's just
Okay. I
her.
know. I thought doesn't she write like full cast audiobooks too? Okay.
Yeah. It's low steam, but it's really, really funny. It's pretty much closed door, I would say. It's closed door. But it's if you're looking for like a really light rom-com, it's a really good one to check out. Yeah. That's what I'd say what my favorite right now is. To kick us off, so this is gonna be really kind of like an informal live, just like to celebrate the series and thank everyone who participated in it, those who watched the videos, who commented, who participated in the videos. And at the end of this live, I should say, we're going to be announcing the winner of the 3-month giveaway from Libro FM, which is a super, super great value. I was a little bit tempted because I have the link. I was like, do I click it and say
So shady.
I was
Like-
so close. I'm like, I do need 3 more credits though. But I didn't. I swear I didn't. Whoever wins
is going to click on it and
you
be
will
like,
get your 3-month credit. You will get your 3-month credit. But one of the things that I wish had came out before we started filming the episodes was I don't know if you guys have heard, but Andy Arndt and Nana Malone have this whole grant program to fund authors of color's first audiobook.
I saw
That's
that.
They give
amazing.
$5,000 for
That's really
6 authors to produce like their own first audiobook that would be available everywhere.
Yeah, indie authors, right? Because they have to pay for it
Mhm.
themselves. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I saw that.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool because they have a GoFundMe page, and then like authors like Lauren Blakely like donated $1,000. I was like, dang, that's like
Lauren
Wow.
Blakely does so much for the romance audiobook world.
She really
Yeah.
does.
Like she is so like she makes sure she pays everyone what they need to be paid, women and men. Like she is really good about like putting a lot of hype into her audiobooks, and I appreciate her so
And
much.
that's why she gets the best narrators for her
Mhm.
audiobooks.
yes.
She has Shane East to a lot of her books, and I am
Yeah.
grateful for that.
Yes.
Yes,
I love,
so am
I love
I.
Sadie.
It is a glorious thing.
Mhm.
Who doesn't? It's like either Shane or Joe Arden that people battle over, like which one's their favorite male.
He
But,
tweeted
but
recently
what about Jacoby
that, like,
Diem though?
he
I
tweeted
love
recently
Jacoby
that
Diem
someone
all the time.
commented,
Oh
was
yeah,
like, his
I
accent is
listened
phony.
to
Them
my
boys.
Alexandria House this week too,
Mhm.
and so yes,
Yeah,
I like him a lot. I'm going to be listening to a lot more Alexandria House from now on out.
Kennedy
Have
Ryan,
you
he does a lot of her
checked
audiobooks
He
too.
does Kennedy Ryan's books too. I've been wondering that. I was going to search him specifically to find some really good stuff.
He has the Grip series by Kennedy Ryan, and the male lead in that one is a musician. And there are a couple pieces where he will like I don't
Raps.
really sing. It's more like spoken word.
He raps in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, he's becoming one of my favorites too. Like, yeah, I just listened
Ashley,
to
hey girl.
Alexandria House.
Hey, Ashley.
Jacoby is my future husband. He doesn't know yet. Awesome.
Yeah.
And now that I've heard his beautiful voice, I totally understand that statement, Ashley. If we weren't happily married, I would fight you for him.
Steve West is
you know, you can always have like
really
a side
good.
piece.
Steve West and Shane East
Side
are the same person.
It's true.
What?
We're not gonna
Wait,
we're not
I'm
gonna
not
out
supposed to
any
say that.
audiobook
Don't expose
narrators.
them.
Let's not out them.
Sorry.
That's not nice.
Why do they
very
and why do
quietly.
they both
Well,
have directional last names?
Steve West is like his fantasy narration, and then Shane East is
But
his
isn't there a
contemporary.
Shane West? Isn't there a Shane West too?
He's an actor. Shane West was an actor. He was very popular when I was
Said
a young
he
teenager.
came up with that name based on an actor name. That might have been another voiceover.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
that's crazy. That's a good question. Has there been any
There we go,
narrators-
Ashley. We'll just have polyamory with him together. It'll be fine. We'll be
Side
good. We'll just share him.
Oh yeah.
As we're just
Has there been any
like,
narrators that you guys have been loving recently that some people may not know about?
I love
I've been doing really. Sorry,
Have
who's
you
gonna?
read-
That's okay. I need to look up who it was, but I just was listening to an audiobook for an indie author and the narrator was fantastic. He sent me the audiobook like as a review copy. I'm going to look it up who it is cuz like he was
Ooh.
very good.
While you're looking, I also have another series, but Katie Roberts is an indie author, and she within the last year got her Wicked Villain series done in audio, and they're phenomenal. And one thing that I really liked is like I think 3 Beast, Sea Witch, either 3 or 4 of the books are poly, and every different main character has their own voice, and I really liked that. Like sometimes like they'll have one person be like more than one character, which I like understand, but I really liked how in this series like every main character felt really distinct, and like the way that the actor kind of did the portrayal was really reflective of kind of who the characters were. And also Jenny Nordbeck did the last one, and she was amazing.
Yeah, she has her dad your due. What your
Working
dad
on
will
that
do.
one right
Your
now.
dad will do.
That one, it's actually out.
Oh, it's
I have
out?
it. Yeah. If you subscribe to your Patreon,
Patreon.
you get the audios for free.
Oh.
I work with Jenny for her podcast newsletter. And I feel like anytime we're chatting, she's like, I've just been trying to finish the audiobook for Your Dad Will Do.
Okay, so I found it. This was for a fantasy book, by the way, but I just wanted to say the narrator was Markham Anderson. And he was so good. There were even there was a barroom song in the text, and he sang it. Like he came up with like a tune for it and sang it for the audiobook. I was so impressed.
Really?
It was really good.
Great
Yeah.
name.
What
That's
book
cool.
is it? You said it was
So
a
it's Markham or Malcolm?
Markham.
M-A-R-C-U-M?
Markham. Markham Anderson. So that's the narrator. The book was like a grimdark fantasy called The Hand That Takes. But yeah, his narration was fantastic.
He's done quite a bit, actually. I just pulled him up on Audible just real
Has
fast.
he? Oh, I want to see. Interesting.
Yeah, he's got like
he's
34
very good.
different things on here.
Ah.
And he's done things like The Ugly Duckling and the
Oh, he's done like shifter romances too.
uh-huh.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was impressed. I thought his narration was very good. So
Yeah.
definitely looking it up.
I feel like
And then he's done like nonfiction, like the intellectual toolkit of geniuses. Like
he's
I'm
got
gonna
range.
explore him. Yeah.
Deja, I have to have my pen. I have to. Because every time I'm on a live stream or just watching
Like-
YouTube in general, I get like thousands of
Mhm.
recommendations. So I have to be ready.
yeah, I completely understand that.
Oh, this is cool. But yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Because I feel like with so many audiobooks being produced nowadays, I realize like some of like your favorite narrators, like they're really, really expensive. Like I did not know. Like I watched the Instagram live with Nana, Lamona, and Andy, and like Nana was like, Andy's expensive as hell. So I was like, I get it. So like it's really fun to like find new voices. You're like, oh wait,
Mhm.
I like this narrator because like usually that Audible sample is not enough for me to really
Mhm.
tell if I'm gonna really like a book.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so I usually just gravitate to story like, oh, if it's Shane East or Jacoby Diem or Aaron Mallon or like one of the big names that you see like Steve Westerfield Hardingham or Bami Turpin, then I'm like, okay, even if I know nothing about the book, I'll give it a chance. Like,
fantasy, you're looking at the Michael Kramers, the Kate Reddings, those kinds of people. Yeah.
hmm
And I know that
Especially
Michael
'cause, like-
Kramer and Kate Redding have a thing where they're doing like indie books for a lower rate than their normal rate.
Yeah.
Cool.
Promo going.
Well, I
on
guess
I think we
for
mentioned-
new authors because like Daniel Green got them to do his book.
I was like,
Wow.
how the hell did you get that? I was like, they're like big time, like Sanderson level narrators, and they took the time to narrate your novella. I was like, dang.
I mean, probably
I was like,
pulling
okay.
strings behind the scenes, right? Not to mention, like, I mean, he's probably making a ton of money with the AdSense
Yeah.
of how many subscribers he has. So I'm sure he can,
Mhm.
he can probably afford it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've all
But that's a
mentioned like, in
discussion
the
for
last,
another day.
That's another video.
I think we all mentioned in the last like couple of like videos that we've done of this is like the narrator can make or break an audiobook. So it's like you
It's true.
like if you want your audiobook to do well, especially because they are really expensive to produce one, you want to make sure that it's going to sell.
Yeah.
Right. Like an audiobook I listened to recently that was really the smart choice for the narrator was the autobiography of Catherine Janeway. So this is the captain of the Star Trek ship Voyager. And so what they did is they hired the actress Kate Mulgrew, who played Catherine, to narrate this audiobook. It is
Oh,
the
that's
only way to consume it because it just feels like you're sitting in her ready room with her, in her story, and it's brilliant. Like, it's not a long audiobook. It's maybe 6 hours. Like, it's not a long one at all. But I just seriously loved it. So if you are a Star Trek fan at all, like, give it a try. I wonder if they're going to do it with the other books in the series. It's the only one that has an audiobook so far because they've done a book for Spock and a book for Picard as well. They don't have audio narrations. So, I mean, obviously they can't get Leonard Nimoy to do the Spock book. They might get the guy who plays the more modern Spock from the movies. Like, they get him to narrate it. Yeah, that's his name. His name was not coming to me in that moment. But, you know, and I honestly think that Patrick Stewart would narrate it if they asked. He really enjoyed his time as Picard, so
Maybe.
it wouldn't be bad promo for his more recent series anyway. But anyways, I digress. I will get out of track.
DJ Bloom is awesome. The Naughty Princess Club is really fun. It's not really a Disney princess retelling. They all work at a strip club, I believe. And like, but they have like themes that like match them to, like, I think it's Belle, Ariel, and then who's Cinderella? Yeah.
I wrote it down. I'm gonna look into that.
Oh, they do the
Really good
Takeover
audios.
by T.L. Swan as well.
That was a good one. That's a good audiobook.
Yeah.
You
I know
know
for a fact another T.L. Swan audiobook is coming.
And they
found
also
out.
do
It's,
Always Only You by Chloe Elise.
It's a good one too.
We've got some El Kennedy in here. I always like to look up what else they've done.
This is see, now I'm looking stuff up. This is so interesting. One audiobook I really enjoyed this year was Boyfriend Material.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Was the
that
audio
so
good on that one?
It was so
Yeah, the
good.
audio was so good. Which the narrator was Joe Jameson, and he's done a lot of interesting things too, including the Great Coat series by Sebastian de Castell. Which I've been wanting to read. Yeah, which I've been meaning to get to those. I'm sure like fantasy, but yeah, he was really good. He was very funny. Which, like, there's so much humor in that book. Like, you really need a narrator who can pull that off.
Right.
That's the thing. You
Right.
really need a narrator in like rom-coms and just funny books like that. They have to land it. Like they have to land some of the funny scenes.
Yeah.
You come across that in manga too, actually, because you can read something and the comedy doesn't land quite right, but if they get the right person to like do the voiceover work for the anime, like it can be so funny. So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
It definitely translates the same for books.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's interesting. I do think it's interesting, like the people who get big enough that they can just like get, you know, the same narrator for every book. So like I think Lee Bardugo has, Lauren Fortgang does all her books.
Like Maria V. Snyder has Gabra Zachman do almost all of hers. There's only one trilogy that's not.
Yeah,
And that was my least favorite trilogy. It was all part of the same series, but he did them in 3 trilogies. It was part of the study series. It's the middle 3 are narrated by somebody else because she was working on a different project for Maria V. Snyder at the time, so she couldn't do both.
Yeah. Mariana Zapata has the same. Go ahead.
I was just saying, Sarah McLean has the same gal. Justine Eyre does all of her books. I think like the first series she had someone else, but since I think the second one, like it's always Justine Eyre, who's awesome. She also does Nalini Singh's Guild Hunter series.
Oh, okay.
I love those audiobooks. So good.
She's one of those that like I can't always tell. Like she does a really good British accent and like also really good.
The accent thing is always so interesting to me because like for a couple of Cassandra Clare's audiobooks, James Marsters, the actor, did them.
Oh, really?
But he's actually American. So like in Buffy, he has a British accent, but like he has like an American accent. So reading the audiobooks is like
throws you off.
Yeah.
It threw me off the first time I heard him speak and he wasn't in a British accent. I'm like, who are you?
I know. You're not.
My whole life.
Right now.
My whole life is a lie. I was like, how are you not British? I don't trust you. I don't trust you anymore.
And your hair is brown. Like, I'm not okay with this.
Imposter.
Yeah.
Ezra mentioned it earlier, but there's
him
a
so
Lauren
much.
Blakely book that Richard Armitage narrates, the Wanderlust. It's probably my favorite of hers just because
of him.
narrates
Yes.
Oh, I love it. I still need to listen to that one. I think I'm going to
one.
pull that one up next.
actors aren't always great with as narrators. Like sometimes I don't know. Oh, what was it? I think it was a Lauren Blakely book. They had an actor, and I forget his name, but he did not do a good job.
Oh no!
I was like, I'm sure you're a good actor, but what's
Ooh, and the gal who played Lady Danbury voiced the first book in the Brown sisters, Get a Life, Chloe Brown.
Really?
I can't remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she voiced it, but I'm sure it switches, and the last two books are different because she's now in Bridgerton. And, But the first one is voiced by Lady Danbury, and it was so fantastic. It just had like,
Oh, that's cool.
it was like,
That's so cool.
Oh yeah, no. Ione Butler has done the last two, which those have been good too. Actually,
Yeah, they've been good.
Yeah.
She has like Julie Andrews energy to me. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, so comforting.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Interesting.
So, going back to the episodes, I think there was like a lot that could have been like its own video. I feel like a lot of things, like where you like specifically like looking at like the different services, because there's like Libro FM, there's Chirp, there's Authors Direct, there's Hoopla, there's Libro. No, sorry, what was it? Libby.
Audible.
There's Scribd, there's Audible, and I feel like I'm
There's
missing
so
some
many.
other ones. There's so
there's a
many.
lot.
There's one that's just called
where you can
Audiobooks.
get
Audiobooks.com. Yeah.
I can't. Probably Audible is going to find a way to shut them down.
Right.
I know, like, sorry, audiobooks?
No. So, like, were there
Voice,
any
love it.
topics that you felt like you wanted to talk about a little bit more that you didn't get to really talk about, or were there anything that you wanted to include in the videos to talk about?
I think for me, like, one thing I wish we would have done is done one dedicated to like series narrated by one person as opposed to series narrated by multiple people. Because I think that's a really interesting discussion. Because, like, you know, you look at somebody like Derek Perkins, who pretty much exclusively does all of Kerry Gimbert's books. And then there's people like Michael Kramer and Kate Redding who do a lot together, and they do stuff separately as well. And then just like that whole discussion. And then you have things like IAD or
Guild Hunters.
by Changeling series or Guild Hunters, where they have multiple narrators pop in and out depending on the characters. So, like, there's a lot to be discussed about that and why some formats work better than others depending on the genre. Like, that could be a whole episode and discussion on its own.
Yeah,
I
that's a
think
really
it would
good
be
idea.
so interesting to like talk to people who actually do narration, because it would be so interesting to hear about like what is that process like. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, maybe I should look for inviting somebody on my podcast. That would be cool.
You should.
I'm like, now I want to interview an audiobook.
Should.
I've watched a few live shows with narrators, and I know that Joe Arden talked about, like, he has a whole diet that he avoids dairy, he avoids like so that it doesn't mess up his voice, and he has like a whole preparation process before he starts like recording and
To
stuff.
sit down to record, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. It's like,
That
it's
would
a
be
And then
lot.
there's some who would do it like much more like casual, doing it so long that they don't even think about their process. They just dive in and go.
Right. And some like will read the whole thing first, highlight, and like, you know, when they have to inflect and different things and stuff, and other people just go in and read it. But I feel like you can kind of tell when they just go in and read it. Like sometimes they don't use the right inflection. And I'm like, if you would have read it beforehand, you'd know the vibe that they're going for.
Yeah. Like they say a line and it's supposed to be they were supposed to whisper it,
Right.
and they just say it at full normal volume. Like, wait, they said he whispered. Why did that sound loud?
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
One
And
of my
sometimes that can
friends-
even pull you out of the book. You know, you're like, wait, what?
Or even if you were able to get like a couple of narrators together and do like a round table about their different processes and stuff, that would be really
One of my friends was recording an audiobook recently and mentioned that there were several words she realized she personally pronounced funny, and one of them was segue. And that just made me think I would love to hear like maybe this would be fun for like a round table. Like, what are the words that someone had to correct you on? Like that would be a really fun thing to listen to.
Or how many times have you guys been listening to audiobooks and I'm like, you definitely did not pronounce that word right?
Yes,
Right.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, that's
There was-
not how that word is pronounced.
I notice that when I edit. Sometimes I leave them in, and other times I'm like, no, gotta go away. Take that whole sentence out. Can't do it.
I was listening to an audiobook and my husband was like listening to it also. He just happened to hear it. And the narrator said solder as solder because it's spelled with an L, but it's solder. And he was like, why? Because I used to pronounce it that way just to make him mad. But he was like, why are you saying it? Because he does that. Like he works with microelectronics. So that's what he does. And so I would purposely say it wrong. And I was like, see, that's how you say it. And he's like, it's not how you say it.
So angry.
Oh, man.
Oh my. I love it. Oh yeah, I love all these ideas. Really
I had
cool.
words
Bethany,
that I
if
used
you
to
want a
pronounce
narrator,
wrong.
I can hook you up with one.
Oh, okay.
I'll message you later.
Okay, do it. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
No, I had words I used to pronounce wrong because I learned how to read really early, and so there were a lot of words that I like would read on the page but didn't hear out loud. So like I used to think that subtle was subtle because that's how it's like.
Yeah.
There's that
I was
random
probably
B in
like
there.
12 or
Like
13
why?
before I was like,
Subtle.
oh,
There are a lot of words and names. I mess up names and I'll read a name and it's spelled really weird. Like Carlisle from Twilight. I'm like Carlisle.
Carlos.
I
And then
definitely
named
said the word
Devon.
macabre to my sister, and she's like my older sister, and I was like, oh, that's so macabre, and she's like,
macabre. Me too.
I'm sorry, what?
Did you say? Oh, it's like
Instead of macabre.
Viscount. Some people
Yeah.
say
Oh yeah,
viscount.
discount.
Viscount.
Oh yeah.
I used to say Viscount, and then I was like, no, it's French. It's Viscount. Okay, do this.
Hey, that's how it's spelled. It's like
You're like, but there's
Viscount.
an S in
Right.
there.
Like,
It's
why am
not
I
our
saying
fault.
Vi? I don't
But see, then I go
why.
into like, okay, it's French mode because you leave out half the letters that are there anyway when you're speaking French. And so it's really easy for me to be like, okay, it's just French. I say it this okay. And then I move on.
And then French.
I don't know,
Français!
but I remember I was listening to an audiobook, and I think it was like an Eloisa James or something, and she said penchant like that, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah, instead of
oh, and so now I always think about it exactly in that tone. And one time my
Penchant.
mom's like, blah blah blah, penchant, and I was like, Mom, it's penchant.
Mishap?
You have to have your hands like this.
It's penchant.
But I do think like the Americanized version of it is penchant because that is what people say.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. That's so funny. Yeah.
Ezra said mishap. Did you say it mishap or mishap
Mishap?
Mishap.
instead of mishap?
Mishap.
Like it would just be a really interesting discussion to have. Like honestly,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Words are hard.
But there are
guys.
also words that
seriously,
that,
words are
like,
hard.
There are words too that people like misuse in common
Oh yeah.
common usage that I'm just like
Like literally.
literally
Oh, yeah,
is one that is
literally.
used incorrectly all the time.
all the time.
What is that like? It's like a word where you say it but it doesn't make sense. It has a double negative. Do you know what? Like, I can't remember the word. It's like a word that people, irregardless.
Oh yeah. Not actually a word.
That's not actually a word, yeah.
They use it all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I had to think of it when I was like, I know there's a word that people use all the time that's not actually a thing.
Yeah. There's another one and I can't think of what it is, but it like I hear people use it all the time. I'm always like, it's not no.
But honestly, if you use it enough, Webster Dictionary will probably add it.
Probably.
Like, they wasn't a
Right,
word until they added it.
Didn't they
Okay,
ask
so
about-
You know
another
what?
yeah, back
Just
up
make it a thing.
here a little bit. I think another really interesting audiobook discussion to have would be, oh my gosh, it just me crap.
What?
Oh no, you forgot it.
No.
It just went poof. Oh, there it is. Accents.
Okay.
Like,
Mm.
good accents, bad accents, how that plays into the reading experience. Is it necessary? Is it not? Is it better to not have an accent than a bad accent, or things like that? Like, it would just be a really interesting discussion to have, because I think people are going to feel differently about different things on it.
Well, it
I
also depends on where they're from, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Sure.
I saw on Shane East's Twitter, he recently tweeted, like, someone had posted a review of one of his books, and they're like, this guy's accent is shit. And he's like, hi, well, I'm from England. So
You like my real voice?
this is,
Like,
yeah,
wasn't
like,
even
this is a
trying to
real-
You're saying
That's
I'm
wrong.
shit? Thank you.
That's the wrong narrator to go against. Like
I
everyone
know.
knows Shane for the
Right.
British accent.
But it just speaks
Like,
to like what Bethany
he's the
was
gold
saying about,
standard.
like, it's really what people perceive as like right. I mean, to a certain extent, they're like, if you study diet, you know what I mean? There's some things that you can be like, this doesn't sound quite right, but also you might get someone being like, this British man doesn't sound British.
British man.
Mm.
Oh, my
oh,
God.
I thought of a thing that a lot of people say wrong. Okay, so it's a word that like looks similar, but like one pronunciation is the noun and one pronunciation is the verb, and people get it wrong all the time. So like prophecy is a noun, prophesy is a verb. And people will say prophecy as a verb, and I'm like, no, it's a noun. It's not that.
That's the noun. The noun. Verb is what you do. I always like say when, like, every time I have to think of like what a verb is, I'm like, verb is what you do.
Dude, I thought you were gonna say like affect and effect.
I don't know.
one too.
Everyone. I was like,
That's another one.
That's a good one.
I
Yeah.
was like, that's one I still mess up to this day. Like,
I
I type
can't.
them,
I
oh wait,
can't.
that doesn't sound
I
right.
cannot.
Like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
I will
If I have to
avoid
tally-
using either word if I can, because I don't know which is right.
Like you read
Change
a
the
sentence and you just went
completely.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I have to tally the amount of times I have to Google effect or affect, I can't. It's not.
Mhm.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's all really interesting. Let's see. I had another question, but I lost it.
I also think to Shay's previous
Sorry.
question, I think it's also interesting because like there are some accents that are more common. Like I feel like an English accent, A, there's quite a lot of variety in an English accent, and B, like it's some of the more common accents. Whereas like in Immortals After Dark, Robert Petkoff does a South African accent, which isn't as common. Like I don't know if I've heard that in an audiobook. And so it's like even interesting to kind of see, like in a British accent, you'll get a lot more variance of what that sounds like, but not maybe as much like the lesser known accents. But then it's also when you're like, I can tell this person, I can tell this person may not sound to me like what authentic accents sound like.
Well, or when a narrator does like the completely wrong accent, and you're like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
like I'm trying to remember what it was I was listening to recently. Like I think the character was supposed to be like Middle Eastern, and they were definitely doing like a Latinx accent. I was like,
Oh. Epic fail. Super
How does it
bad.
get
That's
past
so
editing?
awkward.
got it.
That makes me think of in like Les Mis.
They don't sound the same. That's bad.
It was really bad. It was very bad.
Wow.
Remember how like in the Les Mis movie, like Gavroche, this young French boy, has like a Cockney accent? Like the whole time, I was just like, I'm confused. You're in France.
I mean, it's like, it's vaguely European
Yeah.
for Americans. It's like, it's fine.
That also just makes me
Well, I
think of
know a
like
lot.
who's working on these audiobooks. Like, don't you think like someone would catch that before the whole
Right.
thing is
You would
Right.
think.
produced
I
and
know.
You would
released?
think.
And it's just
Yeah.
like
Nah.
Bethany, was that like
It's
an
fine.
indie?
close enough.
I don't remember. I don't think so though. But it probably wasn't like a huge title. I can't remember now what I listened to so many audiobooks. I'm like, I'm not sure
Yeah.
what it was, but
So back to
Yeah.
the Les Mis comment for a minute. Like, my theater cap is going on. Give me this for a second. So the reason why like they cast more for the people who would portray the actors right rather than for the right accent. Like they went more for their acting chops, and finding kids that talented in theater is a lot harder outside of places like London or New York. And so they took a kid who was on Broadway as Gavroche in London, I believe.
I think he also ended up doing Jack from Into the Woods.
I think he did as well.
He's amazing. But I just remember watching it and I was like, this accent is not quite
incorrect.
Right. Not French. Yeah.
But you know, Russell Crowe shouldn't be singing either. So
absolutely. Russell Crowe and Sean, whatever his face, the guy in Mamma Mia, should never sing.
Yes, Ashley. This to the nth degree.
Yeah,
it's a very distinct accent.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard to do. Yeah, I completely agree with this one. Yeah. Oh, my question was, one of the topics I think we could have discussed was what's the line between audiobooks and podcasts? Because I feel like with Audible, they're pushing almost like they have like borderline podcasts. They do recordings of like live stage shows or plays. And it's like slowly crossing the line between what really is a podcast and what is, because I feel like the term audiobook is getting stretched more and more with,
I would agree with
like
that.
the different productions that you see. So are they the same? Can they be considered the same?
Well, I mean, it's a book.
If you're narrating a
right?
play, then having it sound like a stage play would make sense. But you know,
I would argue they're like somewhat distinct. Like I would say an audiobook generally is going to be like either a narration of an actual book or play, like that could be a book that was then turned into an audio thing, or some of their Audible originals, but like it has the same structure as a novel, like to me that's where it is, like the narrative structure of the story is kind of what matters more, whereas a podcast usually
there's a lot more free form.
Well, and I also think there's like, even to the Carabath Stone to an extent, you could argue is more like an audio play than an audio book, because it does have.
And that's where you get into our full cast actually more an audio play rather than an audio book. And so it's a hard thing to define these days.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's
I think it just depends.
People, like as more people start working on like audio plays that are like, this is an audio play, then that
it'll be easier to define.
Well, and I don't actually, because I don't know if it'll either be easier or it will be harder, because that pool will kind of fill and there'll be a lot more that fill the in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of excited. I do like audio plays. I feel like I've started to check those out more, and it definitely feels like very immersive, which is really cool.
Yeah. I just felt like
I'm also a very visual person, so I would miss like actually seeing it. So
would you guys
I'd really miss being able to go see plays, but
have you guys listened to any like comic books or manga that have been translated into audio?
I have. There are some manga that have been translated into audio narrations, and they're fine.
Yeah, it's weird for a medium that's more visual to translate into audio.
I agree
only.
with that very much.
It doesn't.
It feels like all you're doing is listening to someone tell you a story that you're reading anyway. So, like, I would rather enjoy the beautiful art and take my time rather than have to be at the pace of someone narrating it.
I've been seeing this too lately, Ashley. More middle grade graphic novels going on audio. I've been seeing that happen. Yeah.
I think also
like kid. Oh, sorry, you can go.
Oh, you're fine. Sorry. I was just as Shae was talking about, like, I miss the theater. I remember the last show that my sister went to, and I'm really envious that she went without me, was Betrayal with Tom Hiddleston, and I don't remember everyone else because they're not Tom Hiddleston. It's fine. Oh, Charlie Cox, and then another actress. I don't remember her name. But then my sister was saying, like, and she like reads romance like at the same veracity that we do, and so she was like, I left, and I was like, I wish I would have just read that as a book, because she felt like it was such a like, it's like 3 people and it's essentially about like the kind of relationship as like there's anyways. But she was talking about like this is such a like specific, deep, personal play, and like as someone who reads a lot, like I wanted to kind of dig into their brains and kind of see what's going on. And then I think to that point, it raises the question of like, what is an audio play doing and what is an audio book doing? Because if she had read that as a book instead of either watched or listened to that as an audio play, like we, the reader, have different levels of like how deep we can get into it, I think.
And that's why I
kind of like
reads of a lot of my fantasies where I'm listening and at the same time, because there's a lot more information in a fantasy than like in a romance. So there's a lot of technical details. The names are usually a little more obscure and sometimes harder to latch on to. So by and listening to it at the same time, it just kind of double reinforces that. So I enjoy doing blended reads of my fantasy. And it's good for reluctant readers on those middle grade graphic novels, and I would agree with that.
Well, I think more like what I was more speaking to is like with an audio play like the Carabastone, for instance, you don't get a lot of internal monologue. Like it's mostly conversations. Like there's not like, oh my gosh, I was talking to this guy and I think I'm kind of like him, but like I don't know what I'm going to do now. I'm really stressing out. Like we don't get any of that with that format. And so
it depends because a lot of playwrights, some playwrights will do it as a monologue. Where you're hearing the internal, like what's going on inside. So it depends on how they're writing the play.
That's true.
And you do get some internal monologue in Carabastone, not as much as like her other novels, I would agree. But you still get some, and you have conversations that they have with other people about the person that they're talking to. And so you still get the same thing. It's just packaged differently. So it's just all in how you look at it.
Well, and like, if you think like academically, right, like it's kind of somewhat different tools are used if people are doing like analysis of a play versus analysis of a novel, that like there's a whole different set of norms and theories and stuff
and
surrounding like how you interpret. So I don't know, it's interesting.
I think that could be a very long episode.
Just from the like 10 minutes we just spent on it. Yeah, it would be a long episode.
But yes. Any other thoughts or feelings that you want to share? Because then I will.
Just that it's been a lot of fun.
That's good. That's good.
Well, I was not part of all of the episodes, so I don't know. But one thing that I do think would be interesting to have a conversation about is with romance specifically is sex scenes on audio, right? Like how do narrators approach that? Like how do readers or listeners feel about listening to them? Like I think that would be a really
sign me up for that episode. I will be there for
Same.
I love that. I love that, Bethany. Like, yes.
Okay, that's the next episode. Check, Charles. Add it to the list. Yeah. Let's do this again.
Yeah.
That's why, like,
bring up a good point.
Joe Arden is known for saying "fuck." Like he has a certain way that he says it, and like literally, I have a shirt that says Joe Arden. It's the greatest thing.
That is amazing.
And they're from the sex scenes that he does.
Oh my god! Yes, let's do it.
That's such a mood.
Yes.
Like I literally have to like turn it off and like go out to my car to listen when I hit one, because like old ladies in the salon, I can't just have a sex scene going on in the back room.
I'll just turn it down and make sure that like nobody can hear it. But
as long as you have headphones on, I mean, I've had them running like at the playground. So
the places I have listened to sex scenes.
In the grocery store constantly, and I don't care how loud I am at the grocery store. Let people judge me at the grocery store, but my place of work is a little different.
Or like if you're in your car and you have it up loud.
Oh yeah, I don't even care. I'm just sitting there like as I'm driving.
I was walking.
People look at me and they're just like, "What is this chick listening to?" It's hilarious. I love it.
See, I have like a good poker face. I don't think you would know.
But like you can hear, like, haven't you ever like stopped at a stoplight next to somebody and can hear like the radio that they're listening to? I'm like, they have got to hear my sex because I turn it up pretty loud.
I do too.
So I'm like, you're welcome.
Bree's like, turn it up. I want this
Especially
surround
like when I'm
sound.
just getting off the freeway, because on the freeway it's louder.
Right, it's loud.
So you have to turn it up
exactly.
so loud.
And then you get to the
like,
stoplight
that's
coming
so
out.
right after you get
I'm
off
so
the
sorry,
freeway.
Ashley.
That's where I get the most looks.
Yes. Yep.
Oh no, baby girl! Oh, baby girl!
At least she's
Oh,
young.
that's
You know,
fair.
At
she
least
doesn't know any
she
better.
won't remember.
She
It's
may not
okay.
remember it.
Yeah, that just reminds me of Take a Hit, Danny Brown, and went hit in his pocket, like the phone just like he just starts listening to the audiobook. And
Yep.
it's like
It starts playing.
so I'm like,
I
oh
love
Zach,
it.
you're so cute. I
That
love it so
moment,
much.
I was like, Zaf, you are my human. I love you.
I love
He's
that.
my
He was so
fave. I
Zaf is
love
my
him.
book boyfriend.
I love him.
I want more
great.
romance heroes that read romance.
Yes.
I know, right?
Mhm.
But I'm a
Good.
huge Grumpy Sunshine person too. I love that Grumpy
sure.
Sunshine.
See, Charles, you should
Sunshine.
totally
So-
do. You should totally do a whole thing on audio sex scenes. Clearly, people would have a lot to say.
I
Yes.
think they're really contingent on narrator too. Like some narrators, like
Some narrators
Yeah.
get into it. They're like,
Yeah, no, some marriages are good, and others are like,
Not so
this isn't
much.
fun for me to listen to.
And
I feel
honestly,
awkward
like
listening
listening
to
to older audiobook sex scenes and more modern audiobook sex scenes, there's a whole discussion there too.
yeah,
Because
they're more explicit
let's
now.
just say Dark Gold by Christine Feehan is an experience.
Wait, good?
Put it that way.
Like
At
when
least
you-
the
Have you
original
guys ever-
narration that I listened to
have
like
you guys
15
ever
years
listened
ago.
to like, okay, like I've listened to something that was the equivalent. I mean, it wasn't her narrating it, but it's like the equivalent of having like Judi Dench read a sex.
Oh God.
Oh, good lord. that would be a little. I don't.
you know, she's a good
Um,
actress. She
It was
probably,
like, and it was like a sapphic historical, and I was like,
Right, Ashley? Right? And I was listening to this like while I was in the office with my husband. Just know that. And he was
That was Ezra's.
with me
That was
after I
Ezra's
turned it off.
comment. Ezra's comment. I have to be very careful when my husband is in the car.
Oh no, I play them for my husband. I'm like, oh my God, listen to this.
Listen to this, Zach.
My
I
Sierra
listen to
Simone.
my
please.
audiobooks like so fast. My husband's like, "What are they even saying?" He wouldn't even
yeah,
know.
same. Mine's like, how do you even understand that? Yeah.
and that's a whole discussion is like
Yeah.
not to speed up. Because that
3.5.
discussion is like
2.5.
what are you looking to get out of your book? Because my husband refuses to speed up any of his books. He loves the whole
I
audio
mean-
experience. He listens to everything on 1.0 speed, just as it's set.
Too slow.
Everything.
Oh, God.
Like that's just what
I
he
can
does.
pick
He
up the book and read
likes
it
the
faster.
drawn out
I
experience.
cannot.
Where me, I'm over here
cannot.
like 2.5 listening to Lauren
Mhm.
Blakely, and he's just like, how do you even know what they're saying?
I think once you speed up, you cannot
Ashley?
go back.
You can't go back.
No, she's onto
Because
something.
I think I only started listening to it
Hey, Ashley.
1x like this
Why
year,
not?
and I tried
That's
to
what
go
you
back.
do, Ashley.
Couldn't.
I know.
You can't go back.
Oh
You
man.
cannot.
You can't. And then like I found
Yeah.
myself like watching like a TV show or something. I'm like, I wish I could speed this up. Like it's way too slow.
Same.
Right?
I've noticed
just
that since
speed
I
up my
speed up my
normal life.
audiobooks, I end up speeding up
Yeah,
YouTube
normal
more and
life.
more.
Yeah.
I speed up
I
my
do that
YouTube
too,
now
Shae.
too.
I do too. Oh.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
There are certain people that like I have to speed them up.
There are people who talk
They talk
so
very
slow, and I'm just
slow.
like 2 times
Mhm.
speed, 2 times.
And then there's me where I'm like, "Ah."
But then I can watch more of their videos. Like if I speed up a little more,
Exactly.
I'll watch more.
Yeah. That's true.
Like Jess talks about how people always say she talks too fast. I'm like, no, you don't. Like you talk perfect.
like, do not change.
Yes.
No, she's great. Yeah.
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 Ashley. Perfect date night just to set the mood.
Ashley's just
No,
cracking me
like
up
I
in the
mean-
my
comments
husband
right
and I,
now.
we used to commute together, so we would listen to audiobooks together. It was a good time.
There are certain sex scenes I'll slow down. I'm like, let's listen to this in better detail.
Depends on who's narrating it. If the narrators are good, I slow those parts down. It's like, let's experience.
That's so funny. Yeah,
It's
it's
true,
like
though.
for me, I think that's the thing is like for me, the audio actually like doesn't have the same effect as like on page. So I'm kind of like,
You're just reading
Nope.
it.
okay.
And see, I think that's
I need
a
the
narrator
audio
thing.
makes it work for me.
I agree
No, but
with
like
Shae.
it doesn't really matter. Like, and some of the
Jacob
narrators who get
Morgan.
too into it, I'm like,
Yeah.
like this feels a little voyeuristic.
And that's just
I don't know.
it. Like, it
Maybe it's not
depends.
your king.
Sometimes you want a narrator that's getting into it, depending on how invested you are in the characters. If you're just kind of in the middle, it's like, I don't care. I don't usually slow it down. But if I am like fully invested and I've waited a long time for them to finally bang, I'm going to slow that sucker down and I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Says the conservative religious woman right here. Anyway.
Oh wow. Okay.
Sometimes I'll even screen record and send it to my friends. Like, yeah, listen to this.
Nicole, don't take Rex from Nicole. She got me hooked on Madison Faye, and now I'm ruined for every other romance book because I'm just like, where's the steam?
Ashley,
Oh.
Ashley is on fire in the comments.
I know, Ashley.
Madison Faye or Jessica Kane. Who do you pick?
No, Madison Faye
Madison Faye.
trumps Jessica Kane.
Really?
Like, Jessica Kane is
That's what
nothing.
Izzy said too. That's
But
what
does
Izzy said
Madison
too.
Madison
Faye have
Faye
big
is-
heroes? Does she have big boy heroes though? Like that's what Jessica Kane writes the big boy heroes that I love.
Madison Faye, 15 inches.
I mean like big boy as in like big boy. Like belly.
like,
they have
No,
bellies.
no, that's that's
I know, 15 inches, no thank you. I'd be like,
no.
mm.
Yeah, all I say is ow.
Like I hope
There
we
we
have
go.
911 on speed dial.
I know. Like, I had
Seriously, right?
children and I'm still saying like back away.
Is Madison Faye? I thought she
You
was on
really have to
Amazon, but
suspend
is
your
she still?
disbelief.
She's not. I don't think
Okay,
No, she's not.
Madison Faye's not on Amazon, no.
No.
No, she isn't. She
See,
isn't.
Jessica
I
Kane's
get
gonna
her-
get me with that KU. I'm always gonna pick that up
Mhm.
first.
I
Yeah.
know.
I get
I
why
agree,
Madison Faye is probably
Ashley.
not
Nope.
on Amazon.
Just nope. I'm going to yeet right
Yeah,
out
nope.
of here. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Is she on?
On speed dial.
911 on speed dial.
Oh
If
my
you like
God.
it, you just have to suspend your disbelief that a 15-inch penis can fit inside a vagina. That's just really what it is.
Get him.
But her
Madison Faye is like her
Right,
story.
Ashley? Right?
No, James.
I definitely binged Madison Faye when she was on KU, but I haven't read her since her books aren't there anymore.
I have not read her. This is not making me want
I
to.
don't think
Every
you
time I
want to.
recommend Madison
Bethany.
Faye to somebody,
Bethany, you
I've
need to do a
recommended to
video
5
reading
people.
Madison Faye. I just
yes,
Don't do that to her, Charles.
Bethany, do it. I've
Oh my
recommended
God.
Madison Faye to 5 people. 5 for 5. I'm 5 for 5. They love them. So
They're addicting. I read like 5 in one night because I just couldn't put them down.
Well, and aren't they
Oh,
like
Ashley, I love you.
150
Just so you
something? Like, they're
know.
not super long.
no, they're
like
short.
they're like novella length-ish.
Yeah.
They're not very
Use the
long.
word real life, Ashley. Oh my
This is why I
Oh
love
my
you,
God.
Ashley.
I
I
want that
really do.
story. Story time, Ashley. Story time.
Come
Yeah,
on.
like go live. Give me that story time. I want it.
Charles, give her the link. Get her on here.
Yeah. Totally 100% do that.
Get her in here. We need this story. Let's go.
Oh my goodness.
Charles doesn't even know what to do now.
We can say that for like another live at another point.
We could just like the
Um,
15-inch live. Let's just do it.
Oh man.
That book is a masterpiece. I stand by it. There's like I don't recommend that anyone
Masterpiece.
takes recommendations from me. Like
Wait, is
you
that
have
a
to be a
real
very
thing?
specific.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
It's
free
a book
novella.
called 15 Inches.
Yeah,
book.
it's literally called.
I thought that was a
15
joke.
No.
No.
If you sign up for her newsletter, you will get it for free. So
Obviously, that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not following. You just got to come to the 15-inch live stream. You'll be fine. You'll get to tell your story. We'll have Charles just read 15 inches to people. It's fine.
Oh my gosh.
A dramatic reading.
Go to yeah.
He's
If
going
you
to look
sign
for
up
the
for
book
her
called
newsletter,
15 Inches.
sign up for Madison Faye's newsletter. You will get that one and Baby It's Cold Outside for free.
Yeah.
Signs up for a
Signs up
newsletter.
for newsletter.
Madison Faye's like, what is with this influx of newsletters?
Okay. Wow.
Hilarious.
Wow.
I guess that would be another just to have like novellas versus novels. Is the cost worth it?
Okay. Yeah, I think everyone brought up a lot of really good topics.
Yeah.
So I think
Giveaway
we'll
time,
be in
right?
touch. I'll be in touch with everyone. I will say this: there will probably
We'll be in
more.
touch.
There'll be more. I will figure something out. We'll have more episodes because like all these ideas sound too good to pass up. And then also, I wanted to kind of dedicate more episodes to other genres because like we lean more romance. I'm just gonna like it's expected. Like I would say romance is probably.
I'm here with my like sci-fi recommendation.
Yeah, this is like.
I know, and I recommended an epic fantasy series, so there you go.
I was like, Bethany, I was like, the way to sell me on a series, sell me on a book that's not a romance. You're like, oh, well, there's a little romance subplot. I'm like, give me.
Or you know, drop the word sex magic, and then you're like, wait, sex magic? What?
You're like, what?
Yeah.
You see, like robot polyamorous romance? What?
Yes. It's like keywords.
Yes.
So keywords.
Do it, Ashley.
Do it. Ashley, DM me if you read that book. Jackie, DM me if you read that book.
I will.
Please. Bethany, do it. Do it.
Oh my God.
Come on, that would
Okay,
be
it's not
you
as.
should, you should vlog it too. That would be amazing.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Y'all.
But
I cannot
I
suspend my
feel like
disbelief for a
the-
15-inch penis. I can't.
Too much. Like,
Is it paranormal or is it like a real human
No, it's
person?
contemporary.
It's
from what I
Really, it's
understand.
contemporary.
also, like, how do you buy pants?
Right. Like, I cannot suspend my disbelief. I can't. I can't do it.
Maybe he's
Where
a
is he
grower
tucking that
and
thing?
not a
It's too
seller.
big.
Ashley's waiting on her link for Love
Ugh, same.
Well, I'm also glad we made your Friday night. That makes me happy.
it.
yes.
Look,
So I will actually announce the winner.
the extent
Yes.
of the out there stuff I enjoy is like I can do some Ruby Dixon because she does such good world building and character development, but like that's about as like out there as I usually enjoy reading.
I did read Sacrifice to the Beats by Jessica Kane this week. And
I
that
liked
was
that
like
one.
Who we think is the
Love
same
in the
person.
Wild
You know-
meets Beauty and the Beast. Like, it
So
was-
you know Mara thinks they're the same person.
Who is Madison Faye? and-
Mara's pretty sure. I think it's just is that who? Oh, okay. Maybe I'm misspeaking. But she has like a theory about like who I might be saying the wrong person, but like she has a theory about who Ruby Dixon is, and that it's a
Oh,
pen
okay.
name for somebody who writes like multiple other things. I'm gonna have to-
Oh,
yeah.
I think I
Like
there's,
she's
a-
got like I'm trying to remember. Okay, I might be saying who the wrong person is, but oh no. I think it's like Jessica Clare and Jessica
Oh.
Sims. She thinks that they're the same as person as Ruby Dixon based on the copyrights.
Oh.
Like the public copyright. Anyway.
People like they really want to know. But she like Ruby
Investigation.
Dixon, like she keeps her stuff pretty well hidden.
She did okay, so Mara did like a whole if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend, but she did like a whole reading vlog for the whole Ice Planet Barbarian series. It's so interesting. And like in it she like talks about like who she thinks she is and why she thinks so and her like evidence basically.
Her evidence.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even think
Okay.
I would care if she was right or not, but just like the experience of like diving into that kind of like murder board style theory.
I
Like,
love it. It's
here for
great.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Okay. So I think it's a good time to announce the winner of the
Agreed.
3-month subscription. And it's me. Sorry. I'm joking. I'm
Oh my
joking. The winner is, her Instagram handle is Tesladon.
Nice.
Great.
If you're not here on the live,
Yay.
I will message you on Instagram if you can send me your email, and then I can send over your 3-month subscription. I promise
You're
I didn't
gonna
take
love
it from
Libra
you.
FM.
I promise I didn't take it.
We
If I
love
did, I'm
you,
sorry.
girl.
Clicks on the link, like, where are my audiobooks?
No, they told me specifically not to click on the link because then it would redeem it on my account. And I was like,
Oh no.
did I say by accident I did it? Did I say by accident?
Can I have
An
that?
accident.
I do need 3 more credits. But no. Yeah, so Tesladon, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Just if you're not here on the live show, message me on Instagram. I'll reach out to you. I'll get you your prize. And any other thoughts before I wrap this up?
Thanks for organizing it.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Nicole.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Fun.
Thank you.
You're fantastic.
And to round us out, if anyone has any like future projects or things that they want to plug, we can go around. You can plug your channel, if you have any new upcoming videos, and then also to leave everyone off, since this is an audiobook series, I'm gonna have you recommend an audiobook. It doesn't have to be your favorite.
Ooh.
It could just be any audiobook that you have loved. So I will go first. One audiobook that I have really loved is, what's the name of it again? It is I'm just gonna go with Joanna Shoop. I'm sorry, y'all. The Uptown Girl series, narrated by Justine Eyre. You can read all of them out of order if you want to, but they're really great entry points for historical romances set in the Gilded Age. So if you want something that's not Regency or Victorian era, it's a little bit more modern, more bold female characters, and a little bit, it's just something different, and it's set in America. So I highly suggest you go check those out on audio.
Good deal.
Okay, and then Shae, you are up.
So for me, I kind of put out a video every other day, so I've got a lot coming out. I've got Manga Rex for Romance Readers Part 2 tomorrow, and then I'll have my Kindle Clear Out Readathon vlog up on. So if I'm going to recommend something, I'm actually going to recommend a specific book within the Side Changeling world, and this is book 1 of the Side Changeling Trinity series, Violence. The narration is fantastic. I loved it so much. The book is good. The narration is so good. I love the male narrator on that one. It was a different one than we'd ever heard in the series up to that point, and I really liked him. I want him to come back and do more. I want more with the Baby Bear Clan. Like, I want the Baby Bear Gangsters. I want the Bear Clan. I want more. Give me more bears. I'm done with the Wolf Pack. Give me the Bear Clan. So yes, that's my recommendation.
Nice. Well, I have my book club live streams every other Wednesdays now, and I just released the schedule for the next coming, few. So that's on my Instagram. And then my recommendation, the Catalina Co series by Brenda Jackson. Really good audiobooks. Ron Butler, I believe, is the audiobook narrator. Fantastic. It's really, really good. Second book is my favorite.
Awesome. Okay, I guess I'll talk about the read-along things that I'm hosting right now. I've got 2, one with Ashley in the comments from Bookish Rom. We've been doing read-along of the Song of the Lioness Quartet by Tamora Pierce. So we're on book 2 this month. And then I'm also co-hosting the Indigenous Romance read-along, where we're reading one Indigenous romance novel by an Indigenous author every month between March and August. And this month, the book is Heartbeat Braves by Pamela Sanderson. So those things are exciting if you want to join in. And audiobooks, I'm going to recommend a series, and I'm not going to do romance. So this is a YA fantasy series that is fantastic. It's the Queen's Thief series by Megan Whalen Turner. It is narrated by Steve West, who does an amazing job. And
AKA Shanice.
Exactly. They're really, really good. And
I love them all on audio. I have them all on audio too.
Yeah.
So I second that recommendation.
They're very, very good, especially if you like political intrigue and really like kind of more character and politics driven fantasy. That's really what they are. And they're just like top notch. So, yeah.
So I don't really have anything coming up except for this weekend. Nicole and I and Izzy are reading a really hard-hitting novel together. It's called Alien Rescue Quarantine or Alien Quarantine Rescue.
Oh my god!
Yes!
I just read that one.
I saw the cover. I was like, really? I like
Super
you so
hard
much.
hitting.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
There is so
I
much,
cannot wait to hear your thoughts. That's going to be amazing.
so much semen in that book. So much semen.
Yes.
Prepare
That
yourself.
intro, I was like, oh, she's gonna put out like something by Kenny Ryan or something, and then like, nope.
Alien smut. Yes.
Anyway, okay. I'm actually not going to recommend a romance audiobook because I just listened to a nonfiction, and it is Naturally Tan by Tan France. So if you guys know Queer Eye,
Good, yeah.
oh my gosh, I love his speaking voice so much. So listening to a whole audiobook of him talking, I'm like turning it up. I'm like, I love your voice. I loved it. It was cute. And Anthony makes an appearance in the audiobook too.
Oh.
Yes, I loved that so much.
Yes,
It was
it's
cute.
so
Oh,
cute.
good. The audio is great.
It's really good.
So I don't have any projects that I'm running, but I'm helping with Dana from To All the Nerdy Girls on Instagram. I think she's just Dana on here. And then Bookish Kelly on Instagram are doing their Spring of Spies. And so we're reading 7
That's a
books
good idea.
that are about spies. And I am just going to be helping them because there's like weekly challenges. I took a lot of inspiration from National Treasure for this. Literally, we were like, okay, what can we do that's just bizarre and fun and like spy? Anyway, so I'm working on that. It starts on the 29th. And if you want to play spy games and solve riddles on teams, I would DM either of them because they're going to be running a really fun Discord. I'm so excited. We have code names. I'm Empress, which is a reference. Literally, Kelly, Dana, and I were like, all of our code names are going to be Sarah McLean heroines.
Oh my goodness.
It's fine. And then I'm reading the Ravenel series right now by Lisa Kleypas in audio. And I really only listened to book 1 because I wanted the background for book 2, which is my favorite. And that is Marrying Winterborn. And the narrator is Mary Jane Wells, and she's fantastic. And it's
Really good.
he has a Welsh accent, which is very interesting. Another one that I hadn't really heard before.
Nice. Okay, well, thank you for everyone that's on this live show. Thank you to everyone who is in the chat for coming, joining, and talking about your love of audiobooks. I will link everyone down below so you can go subscribe to them if they're on YouTube or follow them if they're only on Instagram. And yeah, I will catch you guys with hopefully more episodes of Audiobooks for the Win. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.